Hello everyone and welcome back to our weekly roundup of the cryptocurrency market on behalf of Apex Signals. So we were discussing last week the return to an upward trajectory for the overall cryptocurrency market and most of the individual cryptocurrencies. I was saying that I think we need to see another week or 2 weeks of upward movement before we can really call a return to a bull market, and since then we have had another week of upward movement. We've had a little bit of a dip on Wednesday into yesterday. However, it's nothing major, and we've been kind of bumping along. I think we can call it. It looks to be just a little correction at the moment after almost 2 weeks of relatively solid gains, or a week and a half rather. We'll see how things develop into the weekend, but I think we might actually see another return to upward movement, and I don't expect the little dip over the last couple of days to continue, although as always I could be completely wrong. Let's see how that pans out. We're in terms of overall market capitalization, we're currently at 396 billion, just off the 400 billion mark. We were above 400 billion on Wednesday before that little correction at about 436 billion, and that was the week's high. And what's been going on in terms of the individual cryptocurrencies, we'll start with Bitcoin as always. So you can see here that we're going up pretty consistently until Wednesday before that little dip today, and we hit a Wednesday high of $9,710 for Bitcoin, and we're now at 8,866, where we were around an hour ago. So it's looking like another upward movement might actually see us break the $10,000 level, which would be quite a milestone after the tough last couple of months, and genuinely could herald a return to a bull market. So there, as always, we discuss the fundamentals behind things, and the beginning of the year had a lot of relatively negative influence from regulatory pressures and a lot of negative backlash following the huge bull run that we had towards the end of last year. Which was a bubble. It happened too quickly. But as we've seen across the history of cryptocurrency market, every time we've had a rapid rise, it has been followed by a correction, and subsequently prices have then slowly, more consistently started to move up, and finally go beyond the previous peak after a bit of a bubble run. And we could, if we can hold on for another week or two in terms of upward movement, start to gather steam for that to take place. And that would actually herald a faster turnaround than we've seen in the past. After previous Bitcoin bull runs, then there's been several months of stagnation, and if things turn around after just 3 months this time, then that in itself can be taken as a very positive sign in terms of market traction. What's going on at the moment? Despite the dip on Wednesday, there was some very interesting comments made by NASDAQ CEO Adena Friedman. She was speaking to one of the major US television networks, and although she's not an unadulterated supporter of cryptocurrency, she's definitely very much open to them. Most of you probably know that NASDAQ are in the process of putting together Bitcoin futures product that's going to be trading on the exchange probably from summer this year, although there's no exact date. Some some sources interpreted her comments supportive of cryptocurrencies and Nasdaq's openness to them as possibly meaning that the Nasdaq is looking to to open up a cryptocurrency exchange. I think that's quite far from the mark at this stage, but certainly in terms of starting to roll out derivative products, that's looking to happen. And obviously the SEC would very much be looking to the opinion of those such as Friedman within the mainstream finance space, and her relative openness and support would be a major boost. The other things which have been happening this week, which has helped to push things forward some more, is that one of the major George Soros wealth fund, the Hungarian American investor, one of the most famous in the world. It's now apparently about to start making moves into cryptocurrency market, and that's after Soros himself in the past has made negative comments, but it looks as though that is changing, and the fund is about to start moving into the cryptocurrency market. The major wealth fund behind the Rothschild family wealth as well is apparently moving into the cryptocurrency market, and those kind of institutional investors moving into the space obviously adds a level of trust and in terms of how people view the future of the market. So that's definitely helped to push things along. Now the biggest two gainers this week are again among those we've seen with the most traction. Bitcoin Cash has risen significantly over, you can see here on the chart, since around the middle of April we've seen a huge upsurge in price, and Tuesday's peak was 1,557. Slightly differently to the main market in Bitcoin itself, the peak was on Tuesday rather than Wednesday, and we saw a dip between Tuesday and Wednesday, but then a move back up on Wednesday, and it's a day ahead of the rest of the cryptocurrency market actually, or the larger part of the rest of the cryptocurrency market in terms of that trend, which is interesting. And on Wednesday it was down to 1,252 was the exact figure, and today we're at $1,335 for Bitcoin Cash. Now the main reason behind this is the upcoming May the 15th hard fork, where the block size for Bitcoin Cash increases to 32 megabytes, which will speed up processing time significantly. Another factor has been Antpool, which is the biggest miner in the Bitcoin Cash network, came out with a statement that they were burning 12% of the mining rewards that they were receiving, sending them to black hole wallet address in a move to increase scarcity levels. Now that has been written off as a PR stunt by some, perhaps unsurprisingly, those with significant interest in Bitcoin itself. And there's a bit of a PR war at the moment between some of the big players within Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin. The what was the funds that came out and said it? One of the major funds within Bitcoin Cash, Multicoin Capital, yes, I have it on my notes here, discounted the move and said that they maybe borrowing $12 worth of Bitcoin Cash rather than 12%, and that's an interesting step up in the skirmishes which are recently going on between those involved in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. And it will be very interesting to see if Bitcoin Cash can maintain its traction over the next few weeks up until that hard fork on 15th of May. We often see a bit of a drop immediately following a hard fork, so we'll see how that pans out as well. However, the biggest gainer over the last week has been one which has been making quite a lot of waves recently, and that is EOS. As most of you know, EOS is positioning itself as a next generation Ethereum, and with a lot of functionality and efficiencies, which are said to actually be better than Ethereum. And the platform is expected to be launched in June. At the moment, what we're actually in is an extended ICO with different releases of coins over the months leading up to the main launch. At the point where the main launch happens, then the EOS token for the platform will come out, and then the EOS tokens which have been traded as part of the ICO will become coins rather than tokens. Now we saw over a 60% gain for EOS in the week leading up to Wednesday, which put it ahead of, I think Bitcoin Cash was something like 54%, and EOS was just over 62%. So we're now at 1467. We had a Tuesday high of just under $16.1590. And the wider expectation is that in the very near future we will see January's 1867 dollar record high passed. That was obviously just before the overall major correction that hit cryptocurrency markets. So it'll be very interesting to see how much more steam is left in this EOS surge over the next few months, and of course ultimately it will depend on the long-term future of the cryptocurrency. Will depend on the take-up of the platform, but everything is looking positive. Analysts appear to be very optimistic in terms of the quality of this platform, and it's looking more and more like this is going to be one of the major cryptocurrency players for the foreseeable future. Okay, that's pretty much all we have time for this week. Thank you for joining me. Good luck with your trading over the weekend. We'll check back in next week and see what's happening. Take care. Bye for now.